Hello, welcome to Central Alabama Electric Cooperative's virtual annual meeting. We are up here at our operations center in Bermuda. So if you're watching us, we're glad you are, but we still have time to make it up here to see a lot of things we're going to be talking about today, but you can also get that hot dog over here. But since you can't make it, we're glad you joined us. We have a whole bunch of really great segments and things to talk about today. So settle down, make your own hot dog, and hang out with us. I am joined here to kick things off with our chairman of the board of trustees, Van Smith, and our president and CEO, Tom Stackhouse. And it's a little bit dreary, a little bit rainy, but we're making it because, Van, how important is annual meeting to our members? What is annual meeting and what does it mean for our membership?
Oh, it's extremely important for our membership. We often have things that we're involved with, but we have very little say-so. Many people are served by investor-owns. They have very little control over that. With Central Electric or any co-op, then you have voices that are on the board of trustees, and you have opportunity to access Tom and his staff at any time. And we got great things going on. I know it's hot today, but it's our Central Access internet is hot. So we want to give a plug for that and say not only are we providing dependable, affordable electricity, but also fiber and internet.
Yep, and that's brought on by members just as yourself that are on the board and serve.
Correct.
Look out for our interests. So we appreciate everything you do. And Tom, we often talk about the cooperative difference and what it means to be a co-op member. But annual meeting is a huge part of a symbol of that cooperative difference. But what exactly how would you explain the co-op difference to those who may not really understand it?
Well, in 2 words, simple. Members and service. We as a not-for-profit cooperative, our focus is service. Because you, the member, if we make more, eventually that comes back to you. So we take care of the dollars best we can, but we spend what we need to make sure you have reliable service. Because that's all we got to offer. We're not trying to make money for a big company somewhere else. We're making sure that you're taken care of. And that's what this annual meeting is all about. It's about the business of the member, and that's you. Well, hope you enjoyed the virtual side of that. As Tiffany said, we still have time and plenty of hot dogs if you decide to come out. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll be here until 6 o'clock, so there's a lot going on. You'll see it today when I forgot, how did we forget to mention, we have a very special milestone this year. And mentioned that, yes, we have a lot going on with Central Access and everything, but it's really great to realize that 85 years ago, so we're looking good for 85, if I have to say myself, but 85 years ago, members, people in the community, just like all of us, came together to form a co-op. And so I think it's great to know, like Van, you said, that it's amazing that 85 years ago we started power, and now here we are bringing fiber to people's homes.
Very visionary leaders that did that.
Yeah, and we're going into the new 21st century. Well, no, we're not even the 21st. We're past the 21st. We're the 22nd century. So you mentioned another thing that makes cooperatives unique is that we are ruled by a very 7 principles, correct?
We are. There are 7 principles that guide cooperatives, and concern for the community. That is the number one that we really need to be able to focus on. A lot of them, like today, power's being knocked out across the state. Cooperative among cooperatives. We have cooperatives that are helping each other get their power back on. So we try to stay focused the best we can on the members, knowing that it's your member, your money, and your service that we really try to stay focused on.
So there it is. Whether we're out here celebrating you and letting you make your voice heard, or a whole bunch of our guys out there working on power lines right now, we're ready to kick off this day. Throughout the day during the segments, if you're just watching this, you can get a $10 bill credit, and it's simple as calling 1-833-495-4722 and use code CAEC23, or you can visit mycaec, there's a loud van, .com/year85, and you can put that in there and you can get your $10 bill credit as well. So I am going to send it over to Cindy, who's a little bit cooler and inside talking to St. Vincent's Health Systems. Take it away, Cindy.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany. We're here today with registered nurse Amy McPherson. She brings over 30 years experience in her field. She's here today to talk to us about on behalf of St. Vincent's in Clanton, Alabama. She'll be talking to us about some preventative health care services that are offered here at St. Vincent's, such as blood pressure checking, calcium scoring testing, mammograms, and colonoscopies. So, Amy, can you tell me why it's important to have a blood pressure check?
Well, Cindy, really high blood pressure very rarely exhibits any symptoms. So to get it checked, it can help it as a screening mechanism. And a normal blood pressure, over time, the results have changed. And we all know that low blood pressure is better for your heart and better for your brain. The recommended blood pressure for a person under the age of 65 is about 120/80 for men and women. Over the age of 65, about 130/80 is considered normal now.
Okay. So I've never heard of this term before, the calcium scoring test. Why do we need that? What is it and why do we need it?
Well, a calcium scoring test is used to measure the amount of calcium in your heart arteries. It is a very good indicator for people who are at moderate risk of having a heart attack. It can also let your doctor know if you need to be on an aspirin regimen or a statin therapy or any other kind of medication. It's a very useful tool. It's done with a CT screening where you just go in and they just measure the amount of calcium in your heart arteries, and it can help your doctor with predicting your risks.
So that's very important. So it seems like the first two questions we've asked are concerning overall people or men mostly. But what about this third area, 3D mammograms, and why is that more important than a 2D mammogram?
Well, the 3D mammograms have a lower false positive rate, and they also can predict or find more breast cancers than the 2D mammograms.
So they're more invasive. They're able to detect the problem, rather.
They're not invasive. They actually are a non-invasive procedure, so the procedure is not much different, but it's just a much better screening test.
Okay. All right. And then one that's very popular that we hear a lot about are colonoscopies. How early should we be tested, and who should be tested for those?
Well, the American Cancer Society recommends that colorectal screening begin about the age of 45 unless you have other symptoms. If you're experiencing symptoms, you need to immediately talk to your doctor. If you have a family history of certain types of cancers, if you're African American, then they may recommend that you get screened before the age of 45. If you have genetic dispositions or certain genetic conditions that you should discuss with your doctor, you could also be considered to be screened as early as 20 or 2 to 5 years before your youngest family member had a diagnosis of a cancer. If you've had a personal history of cancer, talk to your doctor about getting screened before the age of 45. Anything like ulcerative colitis, inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, talk to your doctor about getting screened before the age of 45.
So they're very important to get tested and screened for it. Okay. Then you mentioned that there are some offers here from St. Vincent's. I noticed you all are doing some giveaways. What are you giving away today?
Well, we are checking for blood pressure screenings. We're going to do that for you for free. We also have some calcium scoring testing vouchers where you can call, make an appointment by September the 8th, and we can get you in and do that calcium scoring test for free. We're also doing some A1C testing to screen you for your diabetes risk for the first 35 people.
So that's a good offering that we're doing here today. So you've got a lot of people here today to help you do those things and do those screenings. So, and a lot of people are out doing the screening today. So I think we're having a great turnout today. So one of the things that we wanted to know, we did say that St. Vincent's is local in Clanton. And so for about how many years have you all been here and performing these tests and for our customers out here?
Well, St. Vincent's has been open here in Clanton for almost 7 years now. We're at 2030 Lay Dam Road. Healthcare close to home. Very local, very easy to get to from the interstate. We like to service all areas. We have emergency room services. We have inpatient services. We have the GI doctor. We have some surgical services. We do eye surgeries and things like that. All kinds of different kind of healthcare.
So they kind of mirror the St. Vincent's in Birmingham. So that's really good to have a local place that people can come and not have to go very far to get health care and to get preventative health care, right? Okay, so one thing that I will say to you all that are for those of you that are just tuning in, don't forget to collect your $10 bill credit. And you can simply do that by texting code CAEC23 to 833-495-4722 or by visiting mycaec.com/85.
Thanks, Cindy. We are out here at my personal favorite of annual meeting, and that is the cooking area. We cook a lot of hot dogs, and one of the people who are responsible for that is Kirk Green, our very own, and his awesome team. And Kirk, I know we all know the answer, but what do we got cooking today?
Hot dogs, and lots of hot dogs.
How many hot dogs do you guys cook each year?
Between 1,800 and 2,000 each year.
Okay. Not to brag, but you've been here for 25 years? Been cooking for 25 years. So how many hot dogs have you cooked in 25 years?
Approximately 65,000.
Sir, that is a lot of hot dogs.
Myself and my team is about 65,000 hot dogs over the years.
You guys are always the most popular part. Sorry, everybody else, but you guys are the most popular part. We have everybody always wanting to know hot dogs. And the thing about the hot dogs is this team that cooks all this, like you said, is made up of co-op employees.
Yes, ma'am, it is. From all different departments in the co-op, we all come together to pull this off once a year. Everybody pulls their own weight. We just won't come together as a team to do it.
Speaking of team, you guys don't only just cook for the annual meeting. You guys are part of the award-winning co-op cut-up cooking team, right?
Yes, ma'am, we are. We go throughout Alabama with the Alabama Wildlife Federation doing wild game cook-offs, just to promote community involvement throughout our service territory.
And you guys cook, all your game you cook for that is wild game, so everything from like deer and turkey, and if it's out in the wild, you guys are going to almost cook it, right?
Yes, ma'am. We'll cook anything from deer to turkey to salmon.
The wild salmon of Alabama, right? So here to tell us more about this amazing program is actually Tim Gothard. He's the executive director of the Alabama Wildlife Federation. And Tim, tell us more about the wildlife cook-offs and how they started.
So about 1996, we really wanted to show that responsible hunters and anglers properly utilize the game and the fish that they harvest, and that it makes great and healthy table fare. We started the wild game cook-offs and said, you know, maybe we can also generate a little money for our conservation programs. It worked.
Great. And how long have you guys been doing the wild game cook-offs?
1996 is when we started, so we're on year 27.
Cool. And now, did you guys start just in the area, or is it a statewide competition? How does the wildlife cook-off
It's
work?
a state. We have cook-offs around the state. We have 13 wild game cook-offs around the state every year. The winner of each one of those cook-offs then comes to our state headquarters for the state championship every August.
Okay. And you guys have some, so we're in August right now. You guys have some coming up here in September, is that right?
So we do. The Birmingham cook-off kicks off our new cook-off year. It'll be on Thursday, September the 21st at the Birmingham Zoo.
Okay. And then you guys do have regional. We have ones in our area, the ones that Kirk and them always try to win, right?
That's right.
Which ones are the ones that would maybe be around our area?
The one we call Tri-County is at AWF headquarters the third Thursday in April. You've got the Selma cook-off coming up in October. You've got the Lake Martin cook-off that is in May, and then you've got the Grove Hill cook-off, which is in November. Those are the ones that are closest to this area and ones that Kirk and his great team have helped us with on a regular basis for a lot of years.
It is a great time, and it's really grown a lot. I mean, I think when I started the co-op a couple years ago, I'm not going to give it away, but a couple years ago, I remember you guys were started, and it was a little bit smaller, but now you guys have really taken off, and now you're able to have it out at Lanark, correct?
Right. Yeah, Birmingham Cook-Off and the Tri-County Cook-Off, both of those cook-offs will have 15 to 1,600 people and somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 to 40 cook teams.
Well, I am ready. I am going to start dieting now so I can plan for that one in April so I can get stuff. I'm not a salmon girl, but Kirk, you're not going to tell us any of your secret recipes for this year, are you?
Absolutely not.
Can I be a taste tester?
You can be a taste tester.
Great. I will work on that very hard. And something you don't have to work hard for is getting your $10 bill credit. You can do that just by tuning in and watching this. It's as simple as calling 1-833-495-4722 with the code CAEC23, or you can visit mycac.com/year85. So I'm going to have time to grab a hot dog, but I'm going to turn it over to Cindy, who's going to talk about some customer service options. So excuse me while I go run and stuff my face. They're not going to judge me for that, right? Not at all. So Cindy, get ready to take it away.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany. We're here today with the Manager of Customer Service, Katrina Carson. She brings over 11 years of service here at the cooperative, and she's here today to tell us a little bit about how the co-op prepares for storms. So, Katrina, can you tell us what a day in the life looks like behind in the co-op with customer service when storms are occurring?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we like for our membership to know is that when it comes to a storm, especially if we think it's going to be extended, we are preparing behind the scenes, we're strategizing, and we're preparing to make sure that we staff adequately so that we can make sure that we meet our member needs promptly. So getting their service back on as safely, as quickly as possible is our number one goal. And so I'd like for them to also know that, you know, one of the positive outcomes to the coronavirus is that we implemented a remote from work plan. So it's been an invaluable asset when it comes to making sure that we have an enhanced response time, both to our members' calls and to their email communications with us during an outage. So our members need to know also that our CSRs can log in directly from their homes, and they can log those calls directly into our outage management system. And for them, it means that their outages can be restored that much faster. So we just want them to also know that we are there for them, so we're available for questions. And whether it's rain, sleet, snow, or hail, we want to make sure that they also they have access to accurate information and that it's timely information, and again, that we are a calming voice during a time of uncertainty.
That's very important because being prepared is what you're saying, preparedness. Okay. Another area is that we understand that our members have some special needs sometimes, such as life support equipment. How do we handle those type of members when there is an extended outage?
Yeah, we absolutely do have a segment of our membership that relies on life support equipment, and of course that's going to maintain their life in most cases and also maintain bodily function. So we want to make sure that we identify those people in our system, and because, I mean, essentially, if that equipment is partially powered by electricity or totally powered by electricity, it's critical that we get it back on safely and quickly. So we have a form called a life support certification form. We can get that form to our members. They would need to complete that form along with their physician and return it back to us. And in that way, we can identify them in our system as priority members. So for those priority members, especially again when the outage is expected to be extended, we'll reach directly out to them and we'll ask them to make sure they have a backup plan, to make sure they have backup battery systems for their life support equipment, as well as to answer any questions that they have, and as I said before, to be a calming voice during that time. And we can also refer them to emergency personnel if they need it.
Wow. One of the other areas we talked about special needs, but what about the average member? When power goes out, how do we restore them quickly, and how can they help us restore them quickly?
Okay, so it's an easy thing, but one of the most important things that they can do is to make sure that the contact information is updated. So our outage management system can pinpoint the exact location of an outage if the phone number that they're calling from is the same number that's tied to their member profile. So whenever there's a change, we just ask for them to update that information. We also ask that they speak clearly and distinctly. So if they could leave us the full name that's on the account, and if they could also leave us the full location address, it's definitely going to help us to be able to get to them quickly. So if they could leave that information, it will allow us to get to know the scope of the outage, to know how large it is, and we can also be able to know how to staff it as well, what equipment to bring, and we can basically determine the severity of the outage and be able to get personnel to the ones that are where we have the most people that are out.
Right. So it looks like you've given them a lot of information on how they can be connected. So lastly, tell our members, our viewers, what is an outage reporting number that they can do?
Okay, so when there's an outage, we ask that our members reach out to 1-800-619-5460.
Okay. Okay. All right. And then for those of you that are tuning in just now, remember you can still get your $10 bill credit by texting code CAEC 23 to 833-495-4722 or mycac.com/year 85.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cindy. So now we're going to kind of flip things up a little bit, and I'm going to ask you a few questions about our energy services programs. So for those of you who don't know, Cindy is one of our energy and technology consultants, and she's extremely knowledgeable when it comes to helping members look beyond the pretty when they're updating or upgrading their home appliances. So Cindy, first off, can you kind of explain to us what does it mean to look beyond the pretty?
Sure. When you look beyond the pretty, basically what you're looking at is when we know that when customers are buying their homes, purchasing their homes, they're always looking at the aesthetics. And the aesthetics simply are the costly things like the granite countertops or the hardwood flooring. So what we're asking them to do is look beyond those things and look at the things that are going to impact your bill months, years after you've purchased the home. So you'll still be satisfied with your purchase.
Right. So we're looking more for necessity, not accessory.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So in your opinion, what would you say are the two biggest areas to focus on when you're helping a member in this situation?
Yes. Two of the biggest areas that we tell members to look at are the biggest consumers, which would be your HVAC system. And that because it consumes about 53% of your power bill. Mm-hmm. Then the next area would be your water heater because it consumes about 18% of your consumption on your power bill. So when we look at those two, those are the ones that we want to attack, and those are the ones that we want to help prevent usage.
Okay. So besides those two major components, what are some other areas that homeowners should take into consideration?
Yeah, another area that we do look at is insulation. We recommend that members get foam insulation, and so you want to make sure your house is an envelope. You want to make sure that it's tight, and so that's why we ask them to look at that, and we have programs available to help them with that.
Okay. And so some of these processes do sound a little bit pricey. So you were just talking about different programs that we offer. What kind of rebates or loans or anything like that does the co-op offer?
Yes, for a standard built home, they can get as much as $2,000 back on a rebate that we have. We even include mobile homes. So mobile homes, they can get back $400 per ton by upgrading. And then we have rebates that handle those for the water heaters as well. And we have a loan program through Regions Bank that we assist them with. Mm-hmm. So we find ways to make sure that they can afford those upgrades and they can make those upgrades.
Okay. So we're in the dead of August here. That's obviously very hot. What are some ways that our members can try to beat the heat and save a little bit of money at the same time?
Yes, they can do different settings on their temperature with their thermostat. They can do measures where they're cutting back on their consumption, on their usage. They can do so many things that people think, or implementing a new unit. if their unit is not outputting what they're currently needing to, most of them are really not going to measure up to the output. But if they can make that upgrade by simply putting in better insulation, putting in a better unit, or if they can't do those costly things, just some behavioral differences, changing out the filter, just different behavioral things that they can do to adapt to this extreme heat and extreme temperature.
Okay. And so what can members expect to see here at annual meeting today as far as energy services is concerned?
Yes, here at Energy Service Table today, we have our programs and services listed. We have brochures to offer them. We even have displays that they can see just how the process works with insulation, how they can, the different types that they purchase can create savings.
Right.
And we also have a program called a peak shaving program.
Okay.
Since the co-op is a winter peaking co-op, we have a program. That's the time that we really want our members to help us to conserve. So simply adding that device will allow our members to help the co-op as a whole to conserve.
Okay. And so if members are interested in contacting you to get more information, how can they go about doing that?
Sure. They can go on our website at caec.coop. If they go to the member benefits tab, they'll see a drop down and it has my number there, or they can simply call the office at 334-365-6762. My extension is very easy. It's 2118.
Perfect. All right, so thank you so much for that information, Cindy. And if you guys are interested in learning more energy saving tips, tricks, or various other co-op topics, be sure to check out our Central Connection podcast. And we have multiple different hosts that come on and talk about pretty much anything you could want to know about the co-op. And if you're just now tuning in, don't forget you can still get your $10 bill credit by texting the code CAEC23 to 833-495-4722 or by visiting mycaec.com/year85. And now we're going to send it over to Tiffany to hear more about the Lineman Scholarship.
Thank you, Beth and Cindy. I am back outside where there's some excitement going on. We're staying cool any way we can. I am joined with Rodney and Mackenzie, and we are here to talk about the Lineman Scholarship Program. And Mackenzie, tell me a little bit about the Lineman Scholarship Program. What is it, and how long have we been doing it?
So we began in 2021 with a scholarship program. Initially, it was started by an employee-led committee. We were able to award our first $5,000 scholarship in May of 2022.
Okay, great. And other than the fact that we just love linemen, because they're great guys, and a lot of them are out working right now, why did we begin this Lineman Scholarship Program?
So one of the big cooperative principles is concern for community. So we saw that there was a need for more linemen in the industry, and we created a scholarship to be able to give linemen an opportunity to go to school. It kind of sets them aside for employers that they do have the school with. And lineman school is expensive, so having the scholarship, it helps alleviate some of the cost for them.
Yeah, I know it's a very growing field, and we need our linemen. So this helps offset the cost for those people who may want to do it, but it's a little pricey.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so I know we said we did our first one in 2021, but we did just award our second one, right?
Yes, we awarded our second lineman scholarship this past May. Our lineman that we awarded to originally in 2022 actually just graduated lineman school, and the next one's set to start in September, so we're really excited for him.
That's great. Okay, well, I'm not a lineman. You're not a lineman. But we are going to talk to a lineman. I'm joined here by Rodney Latham. Rodney, how long have you been a lineman here at the co-op?
25 years.
Do you know how many hot dogs you could have eaten in 25 years? 65,000.
Probably more than 25.
Rodney, you've been a lineman for a while, so why, I won't say back in the day, but a couple of years ago, why did you decide to be a lineman?
Well, before I graduated high school, I knew that college wasn't, a typical college wasn't what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do a skilled labor, so looking into a lineman, I knew the money would be there, the benefits would be there, and I would never have to worry about being laid off because there's always something to do. So that's the reason I chose that profession.
Yeah, I mean, our guys are out working right now, so you got out of it because you get to be here. All right.
My dad was a construction brick mason, so I grew up several times with him not having work, or whether it be too cold, too hot, whatever. So I knew I didn't want to do that.
So you got it. You've been a lineman. What do you think is the most rewarding part of your job?
Probably going off on big major storms and turning whole neighborhood power back on and just seeing the excitement in people's faces. Their life gets back to normal.
And what would you say to like maybe somebody who's thinking of becoming a lineman, but they're not quite sure? What can you tell them about your average day?
Average day, it could be 8 hours a day or it could be 18 hours a day. Just depends. So I would tell someone thinking about this profession that if you can handle the elements, whether it's hot or cold, raining, snow, if you can handle those and those don't bother you, by all means, you'll never regret it.
Well, we appreciate y'all. I know you guys get Lineman Appreciation Day, but we appreciate you all the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so Mackenzie, if somebody's wanting to become a lineman and wants to apply for the scholarship, how do they do that?
So our Lineman Scholarship opens in December and it stays open until March. So it gives high school seniors an opportunity to apply for it, but it's not just limited to high school seniors. Anybody that has graduated high school and has obtained either a diploma or a GED can apply for the scholarship. So if they've been out of school for a couple years and they decide they want to be a lineman, they're more than welcome to apply. The link comes up on our website and we do try to communicate that to the schools and then we share it on social media. The only specific qualifications are you have to be at least 18, have that high school diploma or a GED, reside in one of the 10 counties we serve or Montgomery.
Okay.
And I think that may be it.
Yeah, because I mean, you just have to be over 18, so even if you've been out of school for a while.
Yeah, and you don't have to be on our electric service either. So we made it to where anybody that's on APCO, us, Dixie, Pioneer, they can apply for it.
All right, great, thank you. Well, if another way to save some money or make some money is go to get your $10 bill credit just for watching our virtual annual meeting. You can do that by texting the code CAEC23 to 1-833-495-4722 or by visiting mycaec.com/year85. So we're going to go back inside to Cindy and talk about saving even more money with a Co-op Connection card.
All right. Thank you, Beth. We're here today with the manager of human resources, Jerry Grant. She brings over 11 years of service here with the cooperative, and she's going to talk to us today about one of the benefit programs we offer here to our members. So, Jerry, can you tell us a little bit about what a Co-op Connections card is and why our members need it?
Yeah, sure, Cindy. So the Co-op Connections card is a discount card program. It offers discounts on a variety of things. So anything from food to shopping, you name it, there's probably a discount for it. One of my favorite things to use it for is travel, so hotels and rental cars. But you can also receive discounts on prescription drugs, vision, dental, and even chiropractic visits.
Oh, wow. So it has a lot of things that it offers.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how does a member get to use this card? I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So there's several ways that you can find participating businesses. Again, it's local and national. So one of the ways is through our Alabama Living magazine. We post the full list of participating businesses twice annually, once in April and once in December. But there's also a national website, www.connections.coop. You can find the full list of participating businesses there, and there's even an app for that. So you can download the app for free from any app store. It's the Co-op Connections Card app. And then a lot of times local businesses like to advertise that they are a participating business, so you may even see a Co-op Connections Card sticker in their window.
Oh, so it's great advertisement.
Yeah.
Okay, so if a member needs a card, how do they go about getting one?
Oh, sure. So maybe you've never had a card or you've just used your card a little too much and you need a new one. They can reach out to our customer service representatives. They'll be happy to assist. So give them a call, 334-365-6762. They can also go onto our website, www.caec.coop. Go to the Member Benefits and Services menu option, select Co-op Connections card, and they can request one there as well.
Okay, so you did mention a physical card, but is it necessary to have a physical card?
Absolutely not. So if you want a physical card to be able to present at those businesses, we'll be happy to help you get one, but a digital card works just as well. So that app that I mentioned earlier, the Co-op Connections Card app, you can download the digital version there or go to that national website, www.connections.coop, and you can download the digital version of the card from there as well.
Okay. What about our local businesses? They are maybe new to the area, don't have it. Tell us a little bit about them getting connected.
Oh, absolutely. We would love to have new participating businesses. So you can just reach out to our team. We'll get you started on that. So you can contact us by phone at 334-365-6762, extension 2178, or by email at connections@coop.caec.com. One of the really good things about this program is it's free for them to participate. So if you're a business owner and you'd like to participate in this, it's absolutely free. There's no membership fee or anything like that. You just have to offer some sort of discount for using the card.
Okay, so you did mention that, but what is the benefit for a member joining this, a business joining this?
Sure. So what's in it for me, right? Exactly. Everybody wants to know. A lot of free advertising. So advertising's pretty expensive, so free advertising is definitely incentive. So we do advertise these businesses in our Alabama Living magazine that's published every month. We also advertise that on that national website, the Connections, www.connections.coop, on the app, and then on CAEC's website and social media accounts also. So probably the best advertisement though is word of mouth. So people really love savings and they talk about it. So if you want people talking about your business, give us a call and we'll get you set up.
So it's a good free opportunity to get some good advertising.
Absolutely.
Okay, and can you give us that number again in the website that they can go out and try this?
Yeah, absolutely. Get connected at 334-365-6762, extension 2178, or give us a call, an email at connections@coop.caec.com.
Okay.
We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, thank you, Jerry. And for those of you that are just joining us, don't forget you can still get your $10 bill credit by simply texting code CAEC 23 to 833-495-4722 or simply visiting mycaec.com/year 85.
All right, thanks Cindy and Jerry for telling us a little bit about the magic of savings with the Co-op Connections card. Speaking of magic, I have with us Scott Davis, our magician. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks, Beth. I'm glad to be here.
So we've had a few people in the past ask, why would you have a magician at annual meeting? And other than the obvious of, you're awesome, duh, can you just kind of walk us through what you're going to be doing today?
Sure, I am a magician who does magic exclusively for electric cooperatives like Central Alabama all over the country, visiting their service territories and doing magic shows, a magic show called Making Accidents Disappear, where I teach kids how to behave safely around electricity. Don't climb trees or fly kites around power lines. Don't stick anything other than a plug into an electrical outlet. Don't plug anything in unless it's okay with mom or dad. And just helping them understand that electricity is a tool, like a hammer or a saw. Yeah. Really important, helps us do lots of things, but if we use it foolishly, we can hurt ourselves.
That's awesome. Because I know a lot of people, the first thing they think about with our industry is the linemen, because they're right there in the middle of it. They're on the front lines with electricity, but we can't forget our little mini members, and there's a ton about electricity that they need to know. So what kind of magic tricks can you show us today?
Well, I thought we'd do something really fun. Has nothing to do with safety, but I've got two pieces of tissue paper. I got a white piece and a brown piece. Which one do you like better?
I'll take brown.
That's the one I wanted. Let's share.
Well,
I'll take half, you take half.
Fine.
You take those two pieces, I'll take these two pieces.
Okay.
Take your two pieces, hold them like this for me. Okay. Perfect. Are you good at following instructions?
Sure.
Hold them out like this for me. Now, close to yourself. Now, far away. Now, Beth, take your pieces and whoosh, rip them in half for me. Just rip them in half for me on the count of 3. 1, 2.
I did it early.
That's okay. That was my fault. I picked Beth. Here, Beth. I'll tear mine to catch up with you. Hold your halves like this for me. Bring them together. Just keep tearing. Just tear and tear and tear.
To my heart's desire?
Yep, tear all you want.
Okay.
Very good. Awesome. Cool.
Got
all
it.
right, we're going to take the pieces that you tore.
Okay.
We're going to put them with the ones that I tore.
Okay.
We're going to wad these into a little ball. Have you ever wanted to be a magician?
I have.
That's very inspiring. Cool. Because magicians are cool, aren't they?
Yes.
They're like rock stars, aren't they? Say yes.
100%.
I like you. Hold your hand out like this for me. Put your other hand on top. Squeeze really tight, real tight. Open up. Let's see how you did. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how Beth did it, but somehow she has made for herself an amazing, awesome, cool, magic hat. Everybody give Beth a big hand.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Awesome.
Okay, so while I figure out how you did that, that was amazing. Thank you so much for showing that to us, and I know that everyone's going to be excited to come visit you.
So, Scott, thank you so much for showing us this awesome trick. But can you just kind of tell us a little bit more about like why you got into this? Why is it important to teach kids about this?
Yeah, I live in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and about 22 years ago, I wrote a magic show for kids about electrical safety and entered into a long-time partnership with the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas. And so for 22 years, I've been going to about 300 schools a year all over Arkansas, and at times in Alabama and Ohio and Indiana and Kentucky and Arizona, all over the country, helping kids understand why it is that they need to learn how to behave safely around electricity. Because one of the things that I'll say is that electricity, there's no other tool that we use more than electricity. And that means that electricity is the tool we most need to know how to behave around, because it's the tool we're most often around. You can walk into a room and turn all the way around, and there's outlets on every single wall. So not only are we always around electricity, it's always literally around us. And so we become more dependent on electricity every day. And so it's the tool that we don't ever stop using, right? A kid might one day not ride a skateboard anymore, and a kid might one day no longer have some monkey bars in their backyard. But electricity is a tool that we're going to use until the day we die, and so we need to learn how to behave safely around it. And I'm so excited that the electric cooperatives give me this opportunity to teach it to kids around the country.
Absolutely, and we're glad to have you here. So for those of you just tuning in, be sure to text. Was that okay?
No, it's okay. So just do your close. We'll edit it. Yeah, we're gonna make it work.
Are you sure?
I'm so sure.
I don't.
Your voice.
We're going to turn it over to Jim Byard to hear more about our political action committee. Jim is a consultant whose firm, Byard and Associates LLC, specializes in business development, community and economic development, and strategies for cities, counties, and companies all throughout Alabama.
Thank you, Beth. This afternoon we're joined by two state representatives, Representative Kelvin Lawrence of District 69 and Representative Van Smith of District 42, who also serves as chair of the Central Alabama Electric Board of Trustees. Appreciate you joining us this afternoon.
Great to be here.
Just a couple of questions. One, let's talk about political action committees for a moment. Wondering if when folks who are part of political action committees come to advocate for an issue or talk to you about an issue or a challenge they're having, do they present both sides of an issue, or do they generally just advocate for their side?
Well, Kelvin, if you don't mind, I'll start on this one. I know you might find it a little humorous, but no, they're definitely going to lean toward their side of what they're trying to create. And a political action committee will tell you a lot of the positives about things that are going on, and 99% of the time they're very worthwhile things, but there's stances you have to make as a representative, and you have to make decisions and then weigh the effects of those decisions. So most of the time you don't get both sides of that, though.
Story. What about you?
I would definitely agree with Van. Most of the time this is my issue, can you help me?
Right.
They don't worry about the other side. It's just more like, hey, this is what I'm advocating for, and this is what it'll do for my particular entity that I'm representing, and we try not to let that happen, so we want you to help us stop it. So most of the time it's kind of one-sided.
What about drilling down a little more to the electric cooperatives? Do you find that members of political action committees that represent electric cooperatives, do they present both sides of an issue, or have you had any experience with that?
Well, in my experience, it's been more of an educational type, involvement, where they kind of lay out both sides and lay out kind of the pros and cons, and then kind of talk about how it would affect the cooperatives, and kind of really leave it up to the individual to kind of just make their own decision. Not putting a whole lot of pressure, but just kind of letting you know the pros and cons of how it would affect the cooperative and move from that directive.
Most of the time, all the lobbyists tend to tell you the positives about it, but they leave out that other side that may be negative. Now, that's not in relationship with our electric co-ops, but I was fortunate to have had the opportunity to be on the board at AREA and at Power South, and have been on the board here at Central Electric since '94. And so I had a great deal of knowledge of the not-for-profit interest that we have for our membership. And so we're already really advocating for our membership to start with, and then to have an opportunity to affect things positively or to defeat things that we feel like would be negative, such as we had and Kelvin worked hard with this too, we had an opportunity to affect pole attachments, and that's a positive thing, because then we can put out our Central Electric broadband on our pole attachment. So that's a wonderful opportunity we had there.
I got you. Final question. We've got just a minute and a half left. Looking back at the session that was just completed, give us quickly what would be a high moment and what would be a low moment.
Well, for me, one of the high moments was bipartisan support. We passed an innovative piece of legislation that's one of a kind in the whole U.S. is where we eliminated income tax on overtime. And that gives employees a chance to make enough wages, and it also gives companies a tax break.
Another bipartisan issue was grocery tax, and so the grocery tax opportunity to help families that were struggling in a tough economy, we felt like that was very beneficial.
Super. Well, we're almost out of time, so we will just end on those high notes. But I want to take the opportunity to thank you, Representative Lawrence and Representative Smith, for coming, and we appreciate what you do for not only our state, but most specifically Central Alabama Electric Cooperative.
Well, we thank you guys for what you do for your members.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Beth. Back to you.
Thanks for that update, Jim. And don't forget, if you're just tuning in at any point during this program, you can still get your $10 bill credit by texting the code CAEC23 to 833-495-4722 or by visiting mycaec.com/year85. So now we're going to move on to one of the more unique and cool options here at annual meeting, co-op critters.
We're gonna we brought a bunch of cool creatures that live all over Alabama, and if you come to the annual meeting, you'll get a chance to meet them in person, and get hands-on with them. You can pet everything from alligators, check out our salamanders, our turtles. We even got snake. So come on down and join us. We'd love to see you, and love to introduce you to the cool wildlife that we have here in Alabama. Right here we have an awesome American alligator, and American alligators are found throughout the state of Alabama. They're really cool. You want to pet him?
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey, friend.
Check that out.
Oh.
And so you can pet all the animals that we brought today, and get to learn a little bit about the neighbors that live in and around our communities.
And so kind of backtracking a little bit, this is Jimmy Stiles, and you're with Cooperative Environment, correct?
That is correct. I'm with the Cooperative Environment Programs. We do this through Power South for all of the electric cooperatives around the Power South coverage area.
And you've been coming to our annual meeting for a long time now, haven't you?
I think this is almost 20 years now we've been
coming.
So I love the annual meeting. It's a wonderful event to get to meet the public and get to share my passion for wildlife with all the people that come.
Fantastic. So what all kind of little dudes are we going to meet today?
Oh, we got all kinds of stuff. So we got the American alligator. We're gonna stick him back in for a second.
Okay, bye.
And here we have a spotted salamander. These guys are beautiful little animals that are pretty secretive. They live under rocks and logs, but they can be found throughout the entire Central Alabama area. And they're really neat. They actually breed in ponds that dry up because they're an amphibian. So they can, when they transform into these beautiful creatures. The tadpoles can come on out of the ponds and wander through the forest. We've got another neat salamander called a mole salamander, and these guys are super common in some of our ponds. You get a chance to meet our gopher tortoise. Gopher tortoises are amazing protected animals, and it's not every day you get a chance to come and pet one and check them out. And
you said that these are animals that are around our area, and these are typically the ones that our linemen would probably meet on a daily basis when they're out in the field.
Yeah.
Okay.
Linemen and people that go out and are around power lines and things like that might encounter some of these, and some of these, like the gopher tortoise, are an animal that the linemen have to kind of work around. They are protected, and so we give them a chance. We give people a chance to meet them and see what lives in those weird burrows that are around the area. We've got one more creature. This is always a favorite for a lot of people.
Nope.
And that is our indigo snake. Again, these are protected animals. You want to try and pet it?
I'm good. Thank you, though.
Okay.
I'm good. Okay. We're going to take a short break from the indigo snake. Thank you for showcasing all of these awesome creatures.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to be here.
We're going to send it over to Tiffany for a Central Access update.
Thanks, Beth. And just a reminder, if you've just tuned in or you've been with us the whole time, you can still get that $10 bill credit simply by texting the code CAEC23 to 833-495-4722 or by visiting mycac.com/year85. And hopefully you're doing that on your computer, fueled by the power and the speed and the quickness of Central Access broadband.
Absolutely.
Hey, I'm joined here by Chris Montgomery. He is our Vice President of Central Access. Chris, thanks for coming with us.
Hey, Tiffany, thank you so much.
We are glad. And so without a little bit more of ado, let's talk, Chris, for people who may not know, or maybe they're watching on a really slow computer or at somebody's house. What is Central Access?
People still don't know what Central Access is. As a matter of fact, on our Central Access booth over here, we've signed up 5 people who've just come through. So awesome. So we're always finding new people who do not have the service. So Central Access is Central Alabama Electric Co-op's broadband subsidiary. Started it about 4 years ago to provide service to our internal needs, to our substations, to our offices. And from that, we've been providing fiber service to our members as well.
Yeah, because that was a decision made by our board and our executive
absolutely,
team
absolutely.
to go the extra cooperative mile. So
exactly
to speak,
right.
All right, so we talk about that, and we talk about our cooperative, and one of the things is we always talk about the co-op difference, but we also talk about something called the Central Access difference. Can you explain to me a little bit what makes us so different and awesome?
Yeah, absolutely. So Central Access, it's the same people, the same people we've been working with for 85 years with Central Alabama Electric Co-op. So it's the people you know, it's the familiar faces. We go the extra mile for the power service. We're also going to go the extra mile for the broadband service as well. So that's the central difference.
Yeah, we are about people, the people that work here and the people we serve. But for the techie part, because some people care about the techie part, can you explain? I know we have something about symmetrical speeds. We have gigabytes. We got all kinds of things. Explain a little bit that to everybody else and myself.
Yes, indeed. So with Central Alabama Electric Co-op, Central Access, we provide fiber service to the home. With that, you get symmetrical speeds. What that means is your download speed and your upload speed are the same. So you get 200 megabit down, 200 megabit up. Okay. 1 gig down, 1 gig up. So what that means is when you hit go to send grandma those photos in the middle of nowhere, she's going to get those photos quickly depending on her service provider. But it's going to leave your computer quickly.
Great, that's amazing. So, I know we talk a lot about symmetrical speeds and up and down, and some people are, don't get what the big deal is, but when you're trying to send and receive those files, and that's something that awesome that we have. I know people who live in very large cities who do not have as good service as somebody like in Jones or
in the middle
or any or more rural area.
Absolutely, some of our members are in rural areas, and actually this month we're pretty much passing everybody that's an aerial service, so you can get that fast service anywhere on our membership. Almost.
All right, well, don't
yes,
steal Jimmy's thunder.
exactly.
He's going to talk about that in a little bit. But the other thing we have is we have no promotional prices.
That's
and
right.
No contracts.
That's right. So again, that's kind of a central difference. We don't have promotional rates, no service contracts, no surprises. So $59.99, that's your 200 megabit service. $99.99 is your gig service. What you pay for is what you get.
Yep, and it's easy. We have people transfer, change all the time.
Absolutely.
That go from it's easy phone call. If you need more bytes.
Yep.
We send you more bytes.
Exactly. So let's say you do live out in the middle of Jones and your family's coming. You have a large family. They're all coming for the holidays. Bump the service up when they leave. Bump it back down. It's that easy.
Keep everybody happy.
That's right.
So we are able to do that because of fiber. We talk about all the time fiber to the home, fiber this. What is fiber and what makes it so different?
So fiber optic is it's been around since the 70s, the 80s. But now it's really going everywhere. So fiber service, and we'll see an example in just a moment, it's literally a piece of glass about the size of your hair, and that goes to each and every member in our network, providing lightning fast service. That speed of light literally is coming across on that glass. So that's how fast it is, the speed of light.
Whereas poor old coax doesn't have that light, does it?
Coax can't do it, and the difference with that, coax is an older type of technology. It does work, but it certainly has limitations, and the limitations are the connections that it has. There's service degradation over time, and it's just not as quality, and that's going to be the difference between fiber and coax.
Well, speaking of quality, I'm going to show some quality. I'm going to go over here. I'm
Quality.
going to join two of our fiber techs. I have Josh and Chris. Hey guys, I'm going to scoot by. Let's dance. All right. So you guys are going to make me a fiber tech, right? You guys are going to teach me everything to know. You guys are the popular people. So first of all, Josh, can you explain where we start? So over there by Chris will point out what are our what we got over there.
Okay. So that gray box right there is going to be your NID. That's what you're going to see on the side of the house when we get done running the drop. It'll hold your splice and then your inside wire. And then the one right here in the middle, the little white one, is what we call our ONT. It's pretty much your modem. And then it'll feed your router right there, which gives you Wi-Fi.
So these two guys go inside, right? Okay, all right. And that all comes back to this, and it all starts with this. This is the splicing.
That's correct.
What is splicing?
So it's gonna take your drop cable. It'll take it and we'll splice it into what we call a pigtail, and it's just a connectorized piece of fiber.
Do not keep me in suspense. Splice it.
So the first thing we're going to do is take this pigtail and we're going to strip it off a little bit. And then we'll take an alcohol wipe and clean it. And then this part, I actually cut it and give you a clean cut for a good splice.
And these are the little glass fibers Chris had talked about. They're maybe not as small as my hair today. It's a little humid out there, but they're supposed to be as small as a hair, correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. So we'll do the same thing on this side.
And when we do these splicing, you do this for each home so they get their own little fiber, but we also do it for when we talk about mainline fiber. Those are the big cables that have 100 or more of these in there, correct?
Correct, yes ma'am. And when you see the trailers on the side of the road that are sitting there splicing for 8-10 hours, more than likely that's what they're splicing.
So this little machine just heated that right on up, correct?
Yes, well, that spliced it together, so we'll take it out, and you'll have one single piece of fiber now. And then we'll slide a heat shrink over it. And this will heat it up and protect that splice.
So this is a lot of work for those 100-something fiber cables, right?
It's very time consuming.
I don't know if I would be qualified to be a fiber tech at this point.
It can take a lot of patience. And it's almost done heating.
It's been hot enough. You could just set it outside.
We could. All right, so now it's done. and then we can give it to Chris.
All right, let's walk on over here to Chris. Chris, this is the exciting part, right? I mean, that was great, but okay, so here I am. I'm the fiber tech.
What we're going to do now is we're going to get it, let it cool off a second, but while it's doing that, we'll just get it, we'll wrap it. Want to get it in there kind of neat. Make sure we don't have any bends or anything like that in it.
It's amazing how flexible it is for glass.
Yes, but you don't want it to have like a 90-degree angle or anything like that in it because it'll affect the service. We'll get that in there like that. We'll solder the heat shrink there, and then we'll wrap up the pigtail.
It's kind of like rewinding a very kind of small TS fishing rod, isn't it?
Yes, it can be aggravating. We'll get this, we'll unplug that, plug it in there, then we'll take the fiber jumper that goes inside the house, we'll plug it in there, and from there we go inside the house, whether it's wall fishing or however we get it in the house, and then that's what it looked like going down to the O&T, and then also going to your router. That's going to be your residential gateway.
So this literally does show, when we talk about fiber to the home, it is all the way from the pole to the line to this, all the way to inside your house is fiber.
Yes, ma'am, all the way.
Right. Well, that is exciting. So first step is excitement is when you get this little nid put on your box.
Yes, when you get this put on your house and the drop's been ran to it, that's when we come out and we'll splice it, and then we'll sometimes do it the same day, but depending on how our workload is, that's how it'll go.
Well, that is exciting. I feel like I could be a fiber tech now. Not really, no. All right, well, now that everyone's excited about this, we're going to talk to our Vice President of Engineering Operations, Mr. Jimmy Gray. Hey, Jimmy.
Hello.
How you doing? All right, I'm ready to be a fiber tech. I'm ready to get it installed. Where are we on this process? Where are we at getting central access to our members right now?
It's been about 4 years. We've got lines hung on all of our overhead system throughout CAEC's territory. So our plan is to have by the end of August to have it all ready. So anybody that's served from an overhead line, anything like that, we should have service available by the end of August.
Okay. So that's just in a couple of weeks. You got that?
It is. Just
getting
close. Getting close.
Right, getting there. What about our underground? The underground members that are subdivisions and stuff? How are we doing on that?
We have about 50 of them complete. But we are working, we have quite a few left, but we've got several crews working on those, and by the end of next year, our plan is to hopefully have those complete, and everybody can go on centralaccess.com and see when we got kind of an estimated time when we're going to complete those. But they do take a long time. You got to go in, trench and bore, try not to mess everybody's yards up, and
don't want to do that.
No, we don't. So it just takes some time.
Okay. And what about for those that are current outside our current service area, which is typically the Central Alabama Electric Cooperative service area? So that's outside. We know a lot of people are wanting it. They're in the rural areas too. How are we on trying to help those people out?
Yeah, if you can move, right?
Well, I mean,
you can move,
interest rates are great.
Besides that, if you're close to the system, and I mean within several hundred feet, we probably can hook you up. But we do have some grant areas that we got for off system that we are working on those right now, and we also are submitting some more grants for some areas outside of our area as well.
Okay, so our federal, state, any grant we can get, we going
any
for
grant
it?
we get, we're going to try to go for it to expand it into those areas that don't have it.
Because I know we have a lot of Alabama Power, but they're right in the middle of us.
That's
so
right.
We'll get them. The other thing, I want to turn it back over to Chris.
All right.
Chris, he wandered away, but he's coming back. Thank you, Jimmy. Chris.
Yes, ma'am.
We have received other questions from other people about the Affordable Connectivity Program, or ACP. What is that, and where are we on that?
Yeah, sure. So Alabama ACP, or the Affordable Connect Plan. So that's a federal government program that you can get a reduction in your bill. It would be $30 reduction in the price of your internet. So what that is, again, it's a federal government program, and you will be able to sign up for it on our website at centralaccess.com when it's available. So there's the key. And I'm sure that's the next question.
Yeah, I mean, where are we?
All right, so this month we're wrapping up the paperwork on it, and we anticipate by the 1st of September thereabout we'll have the ACP program available. So if you want to, when it's available, you go to the website, again, centralaccess.com. We'll have a link. Click on the link. It's going to take you to the FCC's website, And with that, you'll have to put in your information, and it's going to tell you whether or not you qualify for the service. If you qualify, they're going to send you a code, and then with that code, you would contact us again, and then we would connect the service, and we would then apply that $30 credit to your account.
Okay. And if they are existing Central Access customers, could they still apply for
Absolutely.
that? Absolutely.
That's correct. That's correct. So once it's available, we should be sending out some type of notification. But with that, you can go in again to centralaccess.com and click on the link and then apply for the service.
Okay, great. Another question we've been receiving is always been going. It's been going on for 4 years. We get the question if we offer television or streaming services, anything like that. And the answer to that simply is
no. We don't offer TV service.
Why not?
In the traditional sense.
Oh, yeah.
So the reason we don't, it's very expensive to provide TV service. But what we do provide, or allow that is for you to choose what you want. So with that, for instance, I have YouTube TV. I have internet at my house. I have YouTube TV. You apply for it, you pay it monthly, you can turn it off anytime, they don't bug you. That's really what's good about it. You can do what you want to. So YouTube TV, Netflix, HBO Max. I have 3 kids at the house, so I have probably 15 different types of over-the-top service. But that's certainly available.
Yeah, it's great. It's very a la carte. You can choose what you want when you want, because my kids go through phases. Or
Absolutely.
I go through phases where I want to watch a show, and once that show's done, I don't want it anymore.
Exactly.
So it's really great.
Yeah.
We cut the cord a long time ago and not going back.
Hey, it works well.
It's really good. And we also, if you're kind of confused and not sure about that, we do offer a monthly webinar. It's for free, where we can walk you through the process on how to do that. And we also have a video kind of similar to that on the website as well, to help you learn to do that. And of course, if you ever have any questions, we have our energy and technology consultants.
Absolutely.
They are happy. Cindy, who's been running around here most of the day, I think, and on camera, she's one of those. So we're happy to help them out.
A lot of times customer service, if you have a question, you reach out. We do have our network techs at the office. They'll be glad to help as well.
Great. Another thing in the community is businesses, whether it's a small from home business, a big business, a mid-sized business. We do have business services, correct?
That is correct. So Central Alabama Electric Cooperative, of course, we do provide service to rural Alabama. We're 90% there about residential service, but we have about 10% of business service. So with that, we can provide a business service rate to your business. We have various prices on that. Again, a business quality rate, quick response times in the event there's an issue. So if you have questions on that, again, centralaccess.com, or call into our customer service, and we can get you hooked up and get you with a representative that can tell you about our service.
All right. And in case anyone is watching and still interested in that, if you haven't experienced Central Access difference, but you want to, you can, and you're in an area that's ready for service, you can simply get ready to get installed by calling 1-888-706-4754 or visiting centralaccess.com. And interesting fact, Jimmy mentioned about how much we have done about our service and everything. How many people do we currently have service, and about how many have we passed?
So we've passed the potential of having over 33,000 customers. We're right now at 14,400 active customers. So we're about 44% take rate. Again, we continue to grow. The service is great. The network continues to expand. We're looking forward to the opportunities, as Jimmy talked about, with the ADECA grant areas. Again, that's just a bigger opportunity to make our system more robust and big.
Yeah, and we're hoping if you're one of those people that have service here and haven't signed up yet, that give us a try. Like I said, there's no contracts.
No contract.
You don't like us. Sorry, but you can break up with us, but we don't want you to. But also, we have a survey we sent to all our customers.
Absolutely.
And we are proud to say that 99% of those customers would suggest us to a family or friend. And I'm sure you guys hear stories all the time about people in the community and the difference having reliable high-speed internet has made for their home, whether it's for school, work, or just for entertainment.
Yeah. So every time we do an install, we are going to send you a survey. We want to know the quality of service, the quality of installation, the quality of the technician that's doing the work. We want to know that we're doing a good job for you, and that the service is what you expect. If it's not, we do want to fix it and make it good. So the majority, over 99% of our customers say the service is excellent, the installation is excellent, the customer service is excellent, And those are the key. And again, that's the central access different that we're always talking about, and that's what makes us different from other providers.
Yeah, and I do know, like, we've had storms today, especially on our eastern side, and I saw we're here at annual meeting with all this going on, and we had some of our techs and guys back there watching, monitoring outages, getting ready, and we also have that 24/7 tech support.
Absolutely.
From a real person.
That's right.
Not a robot, and that's available to help you troubleshoot anything, right?
That's right. That's right. So if you have an issue with electronics or your service, separate from the power side, you can call in and we can diagnose the problem. You do get a live person here in the United States, and if they can troubleshoot it, they will do so. If it is at 12 o'clock at night, though, we probably will need the dispatch the next day in order to take care of that problem, because it could be a fiber, it could be a critter has chewed the fiber in your house.
Apparently,
you
our
never
fiber
know.
is delicious for critters. I've
heard that.
I've heard squirrels. I think
Squirrels, other rodents as well.
Oh, okay. But again, we talked about the storms earlier today, and I think a good key is that despite everything that's gone through, COVID, chain supply shortages, all that, we got some pretty strong fiber.
We bought and built a very resilient network, and we did that on purpose. We knew that we had to provide the best service for our members, for our downline devices, for all of our customers. So to do that, we had to buy and build a network that will last. It's got at least a 30-year lifespan. The only thing it's not warranted against is trees, lightning, stuff like that. So we do have to repair and replace sections from time to time.
Right.
But that goes with any utility service.
It does. Well, Chris, thank you so much. And if you're ready to save more money, you can do so by getting your $10 bill credit by texting the code CAEC23 to 1-833-495-4722 or visit mycaec.com/year85. And for some other things that are lightning fast but oddly quiet is Beth out there talking about some EVs. So Beth, show us what you got with some EVs.
Thanks for that update, Tiff. So for this next segment, we're going to be talking about a pretty popular topic, electric vehicles, or EVs. So as you know, EVs are here and many more are soon to come. And so what we want to do is kind of showcase some of our EVs and just increase the public's knowledge of them. But please know, we're not taking a stance of for or against EVs. We just want to do a little bit of fact over fiction. So with us today is Derek Blankenship,
Hi.
One of our energy and technology consultants. And so Derek, we're going to play a little game of true or false with some of the most common EV facts and myths. So true or false, the production of EV batteries are bad for the environment?
Well, I'm going to go with true and false. So when you look at the production of EV batteries, you're going to have both the production of the actual products of the battery, so all the different pieces of it, but then you're also going to have the minerals that make up the cathode, which is going to be the part that kind of recharges the battery, kind of the insides of it.
Yeah.
And with that, you're really looking at the environmental negative side to a point is going to be the mining of those minerals. So when you're looking at those rare earth minerals like lithium, cobalt, nickel, things like that, there are some issues that can come from those mining areas. So some of those are going to be things of like human issues where it can be dangerous, and there has been some loss of life when it comes to the mineral mining of some of those. But you also could have environmental issues as well. So if they're not managed properly, there can be some damages to different environments around it based on those mining issues. So you'll see that a lot of times where that mining becomes that bigger problem. But one thing that is happening, especially here in the U.S., is the government has taken an active role to try to work on that. And there's a plan in place for across the board, from all the way from the sourcing, the mining, to the refining, to the production of the battery, to try to make sure that we're doing as best as we can with the ethical stances with those within the country. So we're really seeing that kind of process being brought out. So yes and no on that. I think it's going to be the best answer, because yes, it can be somewhat bad, but then it also can be good as well.
Okay. True or false? Batteries will load up our landfills once they're done being used in the vehicles.
Well, I think that's going to be what I call my favorite answer. It depends.
Aha.
So when you're looking at the landfill, we're talking about just these batteries being done and going away, going into just leading out to nowhere. But really what we're looking at is that these batteries have not really ended their first life yet. So they're still in the cars for the most part. But when you look at it and you say, okay, what's going to happen when that time comes, so in the future, we're really looking at recycling of these batteries.
So that's the biggest thing that's really taking place right now is the recycling of those products. And when you look at recycling, we're looking at not only just the car batteries for this lithium-ion issue, but we're looking at all batteries or batteries that are all rechargeable. So when we look at these, we look at, okay, what does that include? That includes from our laptops, our cell phones, and we want to try to recycle those because if we think about it, we see the issues with some of the environmental issues maybe, but then we say, what can you do about it? What is something that you can handle for that? Well, one of the things that we can do is we can look at our house and we can say, okay, what products do we have that are using these rechargeable batteries? Our phones, our laptops, anything that we have around our house, and we can recycle those. So on a small scale with those type of products, you're going to find places in local stores that's going to have a recyclable bin, and you can put the whole product in there, and it'll be able to go to a recycling center to recycle all of the products inside of it and be able to reuse the minerals from the batteries. But when you're talking about an EV battery, it's a much bigger battery, much bigger issue. So they are creating these recycling centers, these recycling areas. They're also doing a program called Resale. It is a studying and a development program that is being used by multiple manufacturers and agencies within the government to kind of help design and develop renewable or recyclable products with these. When you look at an EV battery, 95% of the battery can be recycled right now. Now, there are recycling centers out there. We found some that are going to be around manufacturers right now that may have unused batteries that just can't be used right then. They have to be recycled, and they're recycling those, and they're becoming a lot more defined in their process and being a lot more profitable because of that. But when we see those, we're wondering, okay, what else can we do with those? What else is going on? So if we can't recycle those, which is one of the big things we're doing, is we can also have a second life with those batteries. So even though the battery may be not good for the vehicle anymore, it can't charge and recharge like for the vehicle very well, it still has a great job of being able to store that energy inside the battery. And that can be used in someone's home if they've got, say, a renewable energy, if they're trying to do a backup system. It could be used in any kind of facility if it's a commercial, industrial, and they're wanting to get a lot of these different batteries to have a battery backup system. So we're seeing not only can they be recycled, can they also be reused in a second life, but those things are still coming. So that's why it's really kind of, it depends, is because they're not there yet. And does that program truly take off, or does it not? And so that kind of takes place there. But the other part of it with batteries is also we're looking at different types of materials and ways they're being developed. So lithium-ion is the bigger part now, but it may not be the bigger way of using batteries in the future. Okay. So a lot of it depends is still going to be that kind of ongoing theme.
Okay. True or false? The existing electric grid cannot handle the influx of EVs.
I'm going to go with my favorite answer one more time. I think it's going to be a trend here. It depends. That's right. So when it comes to the infrastructure, and we're talking about the battery, we're talking about the grid infrastructure, right? So we're talking about the electric grid and how is all of these different chargers and all the vehicles that are coming in, how is that going to handle with that? So for us, it's going to be not only how many, but when are they charging? So it's a how much and also when is being done. So when we look at this, we're saying, okay, what do we need to make sure as a utility is taken care of? The issue with that is that's a very local and a very national issue or discussion because every utility kind of takes care of their grid or their part of the utility grid a little differently. So when you're looking at those, it's going to be that idea of, okay, what do we need to do? One of it's going to be is kind of upgrading some of the infrastructure potentially. So as we look at that infrastructure, we're going to say, okay, some of these things might need to be upgraded, they may need to be changed, they may not. So it just depends on what's going on, and that's going to be an ongoing study by every utility to kind of determine what that's going to be and if it needs to be upgraded or not. Not only with upgrading, but we also see with smart technology coming out, we have what's called a smart grid products, and we can have devices that are on all of our infrastructure material, but we also have these software that can check that systems, and it can make sure, one, that it's monitored, it's working properly, but also kind of self-heal itself so that we know that it's being used properly and it's being taken care of so that we're not having these problems. So those are going to be some of the big things on kind of how much. But then if we would look at when it's being used, that's going to be on utilities to kind of look at different opportunities to really kind of help change some of that behavior. So we want to make sure our members know to change those, maybe changing an idea of not only how to fuel your vehicle, going from gas to electric, but also when to do so. So those are going to be some opportunities for utilities to learn how to do that in different avenues. So again, I think it depends on the different places.
Okay. True or false? EVs are just as bad for the environment as gas-powered vehicles.
Well, I think I'm going to kind of go with my favorite again. It depends. It depends on kind of some certain situations. But with this one, we're going to look at kind of three different things. We're going to look at the fuel capabilities. We're going to look at kind of like the CO2 emissions from those, depending on what kind of fuel is being used. So we look at the electric car at the tailpipe. So if you were to look at this vehicle right now at the tailpipe, when it's running, it uses no emissions. So there's nothing from that point. But if we were to look at a gas vehicle, it's going to use it all from the tailpipe and from other places. But for an EV, we're really talking about the electric grid and how much of whatever the emissions are coming from the grid that it's being charged from. So when you look at that, you're going to see that in the national grid, where we're using more and more renewable as we're moving forward. So we're seeing that number kind of decrease some as well. But one thing that we're seeing is that when you look at a gas vehicle, let's take a F-150, and you take a gas F-150, it's going to use over 11,000 pounds of CO2 in a year in its emissions. And then if you look at the same thing in the Lightning, it's going to be less than 6. So we're talking more than half the emissions, or less than half the emissions given by that Lightning. And that's just one vehicle. If we look at this as a trend, if we look at the state of Alabama right now, and we look at any light-duty vehicle or passenger car, we're going to see that number is more around 12,500 pounds of CO2 in a year versus a regular EV that's going to actually do more like 2,400 pounds. And so we're talking 6 times less of emissions for an EV versus a gas-powered vehicle. So much, much less. Those things can be found at energy.gov, their website, and you can find that at the alternative fuels section, and it goes over all these different areas, and you can pick your state or where you're located, and it'll give you that same information.
That's pretty neat. Okay, true or false? Driving an EV will not save money in operating cost.
Well, I think that's going to depend again. So depending on certain situations that you have, but if you, again, we look at Alabama for a lot of our information. If you look at Alabama and we take that F-150 comparison again, to fuel that vehicle with gas prices that we're seeing right now is going to cost you about $1,800 a year to fill that vehicle up throughout the year. But if you go at a Lightning, it's going to take less than $600. So again, more than half that cost. But the caveat to that for the electric is if you're somewhere where you can charge your vehicle without having to pay for that electricity, say at like a local grocery store or somewhere that's going to offer that as a commodity, then you're not paying for that. So that number even goes even less than that. So we're really seeing that area. Another aspect we look at is kind of the operating cost of the vehicle throughout its life. When you look at this, and we want to kind of compare this, and we want to look at it maybe like in a per mile sense, a gas vehicle is going to use about 10 to 15 cents per mile in operating cost within its lifetime, whereas an EV is going to be more like 2 to 6 cents. So a very, very large difference in price that we see for that operating cost. Lastly, we look at kind of a replacing, or if we're getting kind of long in that lifespan, then we want to kind of look at what we may have to replace. Well, if we take the comparison of, say, an EV battery versus a gas engine, then we're going to really kind of see that difference there. And to kind of give a good idea for this one, Town & Country TV out of Birmingham, it's Town & Country Ford, they actually did this comparison on their YouTube channel. They compared an F-150 Lightning battery replacement to an F-150 gas engine replacement. And they looked at the replacement cost, and as the battery had cost a little bit more than the engine cost did for the replacement, but when you look at the all operating cost, the Lightning was actually cheaper. And one of the caveats for that was done earlier this year, and that's for the entire battery. A lot of these vehicles now have modular batteries where they've got smaller sections, so they don't actually have to replace the entire battery anymore. It's maybe smaller sections, so that price is going to be even less, so you don't have to do that. And those numbers are usually around that 200,000 mile range as to where those vehicles are going to be.
Okay. All right. Last question.
All right.
True or false? We don't have the charging infrastructure vast enough to support the EV market increase.
Let's go with my favorite answer one more time. It's just a trend we're going to keep today, is it depends. So a lot of this is still very new. We have a very new system that we're looking at right now. So when we see this, we want to look at the fact that what's already there and what's coming. So if we look at the infrastructure and the charging infrastructure, we're really looking at level 2 chargers in the public space and level 3 chargers that are out and about, which are the fast chargers that can charge a vehicle up to 80% in 30 minutes or less. So very quick chargers that we can get these in. And we look at these level 3, they are located most around big roads, interstates for us, major highways, but they're also located in places that's going to be like a Cracker Barrel
Yes.
or a Sam's or a Walmart or a mall of some sort, where you're going to spend a little bit of time in there anyway, and you can get some things done. So we see that these stations are already located there. And Alabama has actually done a great job to make sure all of our interstates are EV corridor ready, so that any kind of funding that comes around, we can get part of that for all of those interstates. Plus, we've come out with a plan to allow for all these level 3 chargers to be able to be in place of every 150 miles of road for these interstates. And so that's a big number for us. And with that, we see that, these vehicles now are going to be anywhere from 200 to 400 miles of range currently, and that's going to be well within that mile range of making sure that you get to your charging station without any issue. One of the problems we've ran into is, like we have here, we have a couple of Teslas and some non-Teslas. Well, Tesla has their own charging station infrastructure because of their proprietary charging. Well, they've actually done some partnerships with Ford, GM, and they're getting ready to do some other companies. And what we're seeing is that partnership is allowing other manufacturers to charge on Tesla charging stations. So it's really kind of almost doubled our infrastructure with just those partnerships. Now, those partnerships aren't in play right now, but they are coming in the future. So we're seeing where they can either have an adapter or even use their own Tesla's charging ports in other vehicles. So we're seeing these partnerships come around with not only charging stations, but with car manufacturers to really kind of help boost that infrastructure. Well, we're seeing that happen. We're also seeing just batteries being able to go longer. We're seeing longer ranges than what we've seen, and specifically what's coming in the future. We're seeing a lot of high mileage ranges on these vehicles.
Awesome. Well, thanks for all of that information, Derek. You've definitely given us a lot to think about. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we go?
I would. So we have to remember that we are a resource here at Central Alabama Electric, but we're not the only one. We want you guys doing your own research on a lot of these problems, and we've kind of just touched the tip of the iceberg on these. So what we want you guys to do is to do your own, but if you see us out and about in communities, check us out. If you hear us on our future podcasts that kind of go over this, and videos and webinars, we talk about some of these more in detail. So otherwise, we'll see you we'll see you outside.
Awesome. And don't forget, if you're just now tuning in, there's still time for you to get your $10 bill credit by texting the code CAEC23 to 833-495-4722 or by visiting mycaec.com/year85. And now we're going to turn it over to Tiffany for the start of the business meeting.
Thank you, Beth. That was electrifying and really cool. We are about to get to what annual meeting's all about, and that's the business session. We're going to get things kicked off here in just a second with the Sweet Young'uns, our national anthem, and then we're going to have the business meeting where your board members, elected by you, are there to tell you the state of the cooperative and get back in touch with our members and let them know some of the things that are going on with a message from our president and CEO, Tom Stackhouse. So we hope you join us for that. Get comfortable. And if you haven't already, you still have time to get your $10 bill credit. And you can do that simply by calling 1-833-495-4722 and using the code CAEC23 or by visiting mycaec.com/year85. We hope you stay around for the business meeting. It is really exciting, and we hope you've enjoyed everything that we've done here virtually, and we hope that you come back with us next year. Whether it's in person or virtually, we'll be here the second Friday of every August. So kick back, relax, and wait for our business meeting. Thank you for stopping by.
with the playing of the Sweet Young'uns of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may be seated right now. At this time, the trustees want to come up and take their seats, or ladies and gentlemen, at this time, It is time for the business session, and providing for this session is Van Smith, Chairman of the Board of Trustees. Van.
Thank you, Bill. It's a pleasure to welcome you, and let's give Bill Roberts a big round of applause, if you would, please. Bill's the longtime host of the Grand Old Gospel Time on WLWI, and he's been with us for 15 years now. We really appreciate his service, so great job tonight as usual. It is my pleasure to begin this program. I am Van Smith, Chairman of the Board of Trustees, and I'd like to call this 2023 annual meeting of Central Alabama Electric Cooperative to order. According to Article 3, Section 3.04 of the cooperative bylaws, a quorum for any meeting of the members will be determined by the registration of both members mailing in their ballots and those attending in person. In the first few days after sending out mail-in ballots, we met and exceeded the quorum of 1,085, and since that time received a total of 6,454 members who have registered and participated with mail-in ballots. Once we added the mail-in ballots to the 914 members who registered in person today, we have 6,548 total members participating in this year's meeting. That is the largest number of participation on record in our history. I think we need to applaud you for that being here. Prior to this, 4,054 was the grand total in the largest participation we had had. So that's a great opportunity for you to come out and be a part of our business meeting. We do have a quorum. At this time, I would like for Army E4 Specialist J.J. Robertson to come and do our Pledge of Allegiance, and then Michael Kelly to come with our invocation.
Hey, how we doing today? Can we all stand and repeat the pledge of allegiance with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
We can sit. We've been sitting. We stand for prayer. We stand for prayer.
If you would, join me in a word of prayer. Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you tonight for the freedom that we have to assemble. Thank you, Lord, for the ones who stand on foreign soil tonight, Lord, to stand to defend the freedoms of this nation, and Lord, for those who can't defend themselves. Lord, we thank you tonight for bringing us safely here in the midst of all this weather, Lord. We pray for safety, Lord, as we come and go. Thank you, Lord, for the food that you provided. Lord, may it be of some nourishment to our bodies tonight. And finally, Lord, I just pray that you will watch over the linemen, the servicemen, all those involved behind the scenes tonight, Lord, as they work, Father, to restore power. God, just keep your hand upon them. Lord, we won't rest until they're safely home with their family. Lord, again, thank you for this time to be together. Forgive us, Father, where we fail you. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
You may be seated. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, JJ, for that. We appreciate that. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Central Alabama Electric Cooperative, their 85th annual meeting. As many of you know, our annual meeting is an important event each year. Not only does it give us an opportunity to visit with friends and neighbors, it is the time for us as member owners to conduct business of the cooperative. As trustees, we work for you, but we too, as member owners of the cooperative, along with you, buy our power from Central Electric Cooperative. It's with great pleasure that I introduce the other 9 trustees who serve with me on your board. Trustees will stand and they'll be recognized, and I'll begin with District 1, Mike Lamar from the Prattville area. District 2 and Vice Chairman Mark Presnell Sr. of Wetumpka. From District 3, Justin Barrett of Wetumpka, who has joined the board since our last annual meeting. District 4, Terry Mitchell of Stewartville. District 5, Nicole Law of Rockford area. District 6, James Robert Parnell of Lawley. District 8, Chase Riddle of Prattville. District 4, Mark Gray, Secretary and Treasurer of the board in the Clanton area. At-large trustee and most recent past chairman of the board, Charles Bird of Deepsville. I represent District 7 and I live in the Billingsley area. Thank you for your hard work and tireless effort, and I have enjoyed serving with you this past year. I would also recognize any spouses. If we have spouses of board members, would you please stand at this time? Thank you for your attention and your attendance. You can be seated now. I know we've had a few elected officials here, and I'll not begin that list recognizing everyone, but we do welcome those elected officials who support our cooperative in many ways. Also, probably the most important group that we have to recognize, and I've had the opportunity to say this before, this Board of Trustees can go away, our staff can go away, and our CEO can go away. But without the commitment and service of our linemen and our staff that work in collections and all the internet areas, without their help, we would really be in bad shape and would not function as a cooperative. So at this time, if all the employees of Central Electric, please stand, wave your hand, and let's give them a big round of applause. Each year, your board hires an audit firm to conduct a financial audit of the cooperative, and for the last 15 years, Grunlow, Hardy, and Associates of Robertsdale, Alabama, has been the company we have depended on. To give this year's audit and financial report, I now call on one of the firm's partners and CPAs, Miss Kalina Motz, if she would, please welcome her to the stand.
Thank you, Chairman. Trustees, employees, members, and guests, it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening and report on the financial condition of the cooperative. We completed our independent audit of the cooperative earlier this year with the year end December 31, 2022, and issued our report March 18 of 2023. Our report was an unmodified report, which is the highest report we can give and render as an independent CPA firm. I can report that we found the books and records to be in excellent condition. Your cooperative had assets of $384 million as of December 31, 2022, and continues to grow in financial strength. Our firm audits a number of cooperatives in the state, and in my opinion, your cooperative is one of the most progressive in recent years, including increased services such as broadband. For the year end December 31, 2022, assets increased by $44 million over the last year, mainly in the area of the distribution plant and the build out of fiber infrastructure, which increased by $39 million. The cooperative's equity to asset ratio, which is a measurement of strength, continues to be steady at 31%, which is down from the prior year of 34%. Existing long-term debt was paid down by $8.3 million, and there was a new CFC debt in the amount of $52.8 million for the current and future electric infrastructure. Revenues increased by 16% over the prior year, while the cost of power increased 13%. Overall, the operating expenses for the cooperative, excluding the subsidiary and excluding depreciation and the cost of power, increased by 9% from the prior year. This is due to increased inventory costs relating to the cost of inflation. Net margins for the year were $9 million compared to $3.4 million in the prior year. Capital credits of $1.5 million were retired this year compared to the prior year of $750,000. The cooperative's accounting systems and procedures are well designed and comprehensive, providing timely and accurate financial information for the Board of Trustees and management who have oversight of your cooperative's finances. The cooperative is in compliance with all of its procedures, contracts, and agreements. Your board continues to manage your cooperative in a manner that results in continued financial stability and growth in the present, while positioning your cooperative for financial challenges of the future. Thank you all for allowing us the opportunity to serve your cooperative as its audit firm. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalina. We appreciate that and that great audit. This time, I'd like to introduce the President and CEO of our cooperative, Tom Stackhouse, for a few comments.
Thank you. Thank you, Van. I do appreciate your leadership and of this board. You're admired and appreciated greatly, what you do to help us get this job done and what you do for the community. We appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my 40th annual meeting. 32 of those I've stood before the membership and given reports. I think I've written the best report I've ever written in that 32 years, plus the 8 before that I wrote for my boss. However, due to the weather, I'm gonna make it into a article and get that out to you. Let's cut it short and get you out of here. Thank you for being here. I will say, you see these green shirts back here, some of them are brown, different shirts. These employees are what keep it going. A lot of them are gone right now, getting power back on, because that is what we do. But we appreciate what you do. We hope we support you well in this community. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the shortest one I've ever given, okay?
That's pretty quick. So I'm going to have to find my place. I do thank Tom for his leadership, and we're in a visionary area with our broadband initiative, but for affordable, reliable power, we're also thankful to his leadership in that area. This time I'll call Chris Simmons, who has been our general counsel since January of 2020. Chris is well respected throughout Alabama with vast knowledge and experience in business and especially cooperative utility business. Chris, we appreciate the expertise you bring to our cooperative. Please come and conduct the business portion of this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see everybody. In accordance with Section 3.06 of the bylaws, the board approved the minutes from last year's August 12, 2022 annual meeting at its August 23rd, 2022 regular board meeting. These minutes have been made available to members for review, and if necessary, any request that they be placed on the agenda. No such request has been made, so the minutes stand as approved by the board at that meeting. Next, I'd like to report on the Nominations Committee. Pursuant to due notice thereof, the Committee on Nominations held their meeting at the Cooperative's headquarters in Prattville, Alabama, beginning at 10 a.m. on April 14th. Cooperative members who served on the committee were Robert Arnold, Randy Beasley, Darrell Carson, Roy Campbell, Roger Campbell, Warburn Falkman, John Glasscock, Lowell Strock, Jack Wadsworth, and Frank Yarnell. Randy Beasley was elected as the chairman, and Robert Arnold was elected as the secretary. Nominations have been posted on the cooperative's offices since May 12, 2023, and were also included as a part of the official notice. Nominated for District 1, incumbent Mike Lamar. Nominated for District 4, incumbent Terry Mitchell. Excuse me. Apologize, a lot of activity up here. Nominated for District 4, incumbent Terry Mitchell. Nominated for District 6, excuse me, incumbent James Robert Parnell. Article 4, Section 4.05 also allows for nominations by petition. None were presented. Votes cast by the membership for each nominee were as follows. Great participation this year, by the way. Ms. Lamar received 5,756 votes for election. 5,768 votes were cast for Mr. Mitchell. Mr. Parnell collected 5,743 votes for election. I do hereby certify that the number of votes cast for each of the three trustees were sufficient and recognized as a plurality of the votes sufficient to elect, as they well in majority of the votes cast, and that each of them have been duly elected to serve as trustees on this board for 3-year terms each. Congratulations. At this point, I now turn it back to Chairman Smith. Thank you.
In way of an announcement, with the dangerous weather, we will ask that you be patient with our individuals with the golf carts. Please do not decide to walk. If you would, just wait here under cover until we can provide you safe transportation to your vehicle. I thank you for coming to your annual meeting. I now turn the meeting over to either Bill or Jimmy, but someone's going to come and draw the grand prize of $500, so we hope that you'll be that winner. Thank you for coming. Please be safe on your way home.
Thank you, sir. All right, we've got more prize drawings to do. So y'all bear with me just a moment here while I find a subject to help me draw. I saw you and I saw her kiss you, so we're going to bring you up here. Come on. Come on. This is a manly thing for you to do, okay? What's your name?
Ayla.
Say again?
Ayla.
Okay. All right, what I want you to do is reach in there, shuffle them around, bring me one thing out, okay? This is for a $50 gift card. Reach in there. Don't look now. Just reach in there. You got freckles. Dewey Devers of Clanton. Are you here, Dewey? Dewey Devers of Clanton. You don't have to be present to win on these. Okay. This one is another 50 or 100. This one is a $100 gift card. Reach in there. Pull out one. I can tell you've had training in doing this. You've done this before, haven't you? No? Frederick Brown of Wetumpka. Are you here? Okay. This next one is for $150. Thank you. Vanessa Lewis of Tallahassee. Vanessa Lewis of Tallahassee, are you here? I don't see any movement. All right. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our final grand prize, this is the grand prize, $500 gift card. $500 gift card. And it goes to, thank you. Thank you so much for your help. I appreciate that. You can go back with your girlfriend. Glenn David Rye, R-Y-E, out of Titus, Alabama. Glenn David Rye from Titus. You're Glenn Davis? No. We'll have to mail this one to him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our drawings, and that is the end of the general membership meeting. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We couldn't have done it without you.